Hi, everybody. Welcome to my channel. This is the start of a new series that I'm doing. I'm going to interview people that I look up to and people just in the world that are super inspiring and to hopefully inspire you guys. And I thought, what better way to start it with Bella? And yeah,
Hi guys, I'm so happy to be here and to, be Lexi's first guest in the series. It's an honor. So thanks for having me, Lexi.
of course, of course. You're just like, I don't know, you're everything like in one. Like you're so smart and like talented and you're so like athletic. And I just was like, you know what? She's so inspirational. You definitely inspire me. Like I'll see
So
the
nice.
things that like 5 in the morning, you like get up and like go to the gym. And then like I'll wake up and I'm like, okay, it's 8:30, but I can still get a workout in, like figure it out. But yeah. So yeah. All right, we can start off with the first question. Like how did you get started into like the health world? And yeah, like what was like your really like your start or like your click that you're like, I want to do this?
Yeah, so I'll give kind of like a little there's I feel like a few different aspects of this story and kind of how I got into it. But honestly, growing up, I was always really into sports. I didn't even really think about being active as I feel like most kids do, but it was always just like I had to play sports. My parents were very big on it. I loved doing it, so it just kind of happened. And then as I got older, I wanted to use sports to get me into college. That's kind of what I did. And then I fell in love with lacrosse. So it was kind of like the best of both worlds. I loved the sport. It could help me get a scholarship. And so I kind of combined the two, went to college for lacrosse, played D1, and I kind of lost sight of like being active for like like a health benefit. It was very much so like a job for me. So I kind of took a little bit of a break getting out of college. That was actually right when COVID hit and the pandemic and everything. And then I started to fall in love with like fitness and being active again because I started to realize that it's not necessarily a job. It's not something you do to, make your body a certain way or anything like that, or to harm your body or to like hurt yourself with exercise. It's actually a tool that we can use to promote longevity in our bodies, our brains, and actually provide strength for us to be, a lot stronger and around a lot longer later on in life. And honestly, that really has motivated me. On top of that, I have really, really bad food allergies. And so that really sparked my interest in nutrition and kind of how can I use food to fuel me and make me feel better. So that's kind of how I kind of have combined the two. And now I do both of those things to make me feel my best. So like you mentioned, getting up at 5 a.m. and like, obviously that's not something that if I write it down on paper that I necessarily want to do, be getting up at like 4:30 some mornings, 5, 6, but I
Yeah.
always feel, yeah,
So that's
I
really
always,
early.
it is so early. And obviously some days are earlier than others, but depending on the day, but I always feel so good after. And I know that my future self is going to love me for that. Same thing with nutrition. Like obviously sometimes it's hard to control portions and eat the right things and not kind of indulge in some of the foods that are bad for us that might taste really good. But really focus on things that make me feel better and give back to my body. So that's a little bit of kind of how I've gotten into it. Actually, not a little bit, is kind of a long roundabout way to get there, but
Right.
yeah, that's kind of my two things there.
That's awesome. I love that. And so now, like, since you were in college versus out of college, I'm sure there's like a lot of differences between like the workouts you do. What was
Yeah.
like what would you say is like your favorite? You can say like both, like when you were in college, of course you were doing lacrosse and training for lacrosse. I'm sure you guys
Yeah.
did lifting and lacrosse, like workouts, but is there a favorite workout that you have now versus college or anything like that?
So in college, I always have liked being I've always liked being active. Like I could never really sit on the couch and do nothing.
Mhm.
So I found different ways. Like we had different workouts, like you said, I had conditionings that I had to follow, to conditioning programs, lifting programs. But in college, what I really didn't like was that I didn't have control over what workouts I was doing. So say like I was really tired and my body was sore and I what should be a rest day. I might have potentially had to go and do a heavy lift and perform like really, really well in conditioning to try and secure a spot. So it didn't always line up that way. And I actually still do a lot of similar workouts to what I did in college. But now I think the biggest difference, and probably what I would say, it's kind of a different kind of answer to your question, but is I like workouts that I can control and I can listen to my body and feel the best about. in college, it's funny, I hated weightlifting. I hated it. I thought it made me bulky. I really was not a fan of it. Now I weightlift probably, I'd say like 5+ times a week. I really like it. But again, but I can control it and I can listen to my body and know how hard I can go, and I'm not performing for anyone else. So I'm doing it again to feel good and be my best and not necessarily secure a spot or anything like that. Something I'd say maybe out of college that I take a little more seriously is like stretching and recovery. So I do yoga a lot more. I'm very, very adamant about stretching because, again, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm not doing it just to perform. I'm doing it to make my body feel its best and to be able to do this for a long period of time.
Yeah, definitely. And like, would you say as well as like for your recovery, like, do you do like Epsom salt baths? Like, do you?
Yeah, those are my
Okay.
favorites. So I do Epsom salt baths probably 3 to 5 times a week, give or take. Like some days I do them every single night. Some weeks I'll do them like 1 to 2 times a week. Another thing that I really, really am big on is recovery, but I take a lot of active recovery days. So something that's really slept on is walking. I I walk a lot. Like even days where I'll have a super hard workout in the morning, I'll walk at night. The mileage or the amount or the speed, it differs, but I just think that it's number one, it's really, really good for you. It's a good form of cardio that's not too strenuous on the body. And it's a way that you can still stay active, also get outdoors without putting too much strain on the body. So that's one of my active recoveries, Epsom salt baths. And then actually there, I take cold showers sometimes, and like they're hard to do. They're really hard at first and they don't really get much easier, to be honest, but something that's kind of interesting. Well, they do help with muscle recovery. So like ice baths, like I feel like we've always seen like athletes get into ice baths because it can help with muscle recovery, especially if you're doing like very strenuous workouts. So that's one reason that I use it for recovery. But a reason to do it that I think will get a lot of people into it is it actually releases dopamine. So it's, if you take a cold shower, it's really, really unpleasant in the moment. And then you get out and your body actually, it feels really good. You feel crazy awake. You feel super focused. Your body like instantly feels better. I swear. Like it's actually, it's kind of crazy. I didn't believe it until like, I read about it and listened to podcasts about it. And then I started implementing it and it's crazy. But now my body, it is kind of weird. I will crave a cold shower.
Okay.
So even though I know it's going to like kind of suck in the moment, and it's freezing, like it doesn't feel good when you're in it, but you crave how you feel when you get out. So you're like, it's worth going through that to then get that like kind of almost like long-term benefit. And it's probably the best way, I'd say, to wake up. You feel really good after doing it, feel super refreshed, and it also helps with muscle recovery. So there's a lot of different benefits, but those are probably my big recovery and stretching.
Okay. Yeah, no, definitely. And like you'll do the cold showers in the morning.
I do, just, you can do them whenever.
Okay.
But the best time to do them is in the morning because you reap all the benefits of it. It really wakes you up, and like I'm not kidding you, like those days I don't even need any caffeine at all when I take them.
I'll definitely try it. Like I'm not even kidding. I literally.
Yeah. And you really, so other thing is people think it has to be like freezing cold. The protocols that I follow for it are, it has to be cold enough that you feel like you want to get out, but it doesn't have to be as cold as your shower goes. You just have to feel uncomfortable. And so like obviously colder than like lukewarm, but it just has to feel uncomfortable. You have to feel like you want to get out. And then that is like cold enough, basically. You can gauge it.
Okay, cool. No, I'll definitely try that. And oh yeah, so I was gonna also ask, like, with kind of like on like the workout topic, how would you recommend for like female specific to lose fat and gain muscle? Like I know, like I was also gonna ask you if you want to touch on like Pilates. I don't know if you've ever tried that. That's like all the hype right now. Like, but I didn't know like what workouts you recommend if you want to talk about that, and also like the Pilates that I just brought up.
Yeah. So the best way to lose fat and gain muscle, from my personal experience and from what I've kind of like learned and listened to and seen, there's a few different avenues, but what I've learned is that your nutrition and what you're consuming makes a really big difference as far as like the losing fat part. And the building muscle, you have to be doing some type of strength training, whether that be body weight, lifting, Pilates. That's all moving your body in a way that will build strength. So that's going to be how you build muscle. Losing fat is going to be more so what you're consuming. So I would say for that, you want to make sure that you're consuming whole foods. You want to make sure that you're probably limiting alcohol consumption. And again, that's during the time that you're trying to lose fat, just because alcohol, essentially what happens with alcohol is it is turned right into fat. So it's not going to be super beneficial. And again, you can still enjoy things here or there, but if you're going through that process, you probably want to limit it to a certain extent.
Okay.
And then again, whole foods, prioritizing protein as well, and making sure that you're still getting healthy fats, because those can actually help you. And I would say just prioritizing protein and vegetables with every meal. When I've been going through different cycles of trying to get leaner or lose body fat while still building muscle, those are the things that I've done, and it's really made a difference. And I think that the protein and the vegetables at every meal is like the biggest one. And another thing to keep in mind too, when you are going to change up your diet, it takes probably, I would say like 2-ish weeks to get comfortable with changing your nutrition and what you're taking in, because your body's going to be very used to one thing. So it may feel abnormal, and that's going to be fine at first. But you just have to get used to it, just like anything else. And then with the like strength training, that's kind of, so the reason that Pilates is becoming super popular, I think, is because I've done it before. I've done a lot of different forms of it. I've tried mat Pilates, I've done reformer Pilates, then I've done megaformer Pilates, which megaformer is like the like Legree. I don't know if you've seen that. Like it's an LA studio, like more like solid core for the East Coast. It's a higher intensity for reformer Pilates. And then there's regular reformer Pilates, which is a little more low intensity, low impact. And then there's mat Pilates, which is like Melissa Wood Health, or there's some classes like that too. I've honestly tried all of them. I like all of them a lot. They are lower intensity, but you do feel a burn. Most of them are body weight, except for like the reformer can obviously add resistance. But again, so that's the reason, is because sometimes for certain people, higher intensity workouts raise their cortisol levels. Okay. And when your cortisol levels are raised, essentially what that is signaling your body to do is to hold on to fat, and basically to almost even like get hungrier too, and things like that. So it also can lead to like inflammation and things like that. So if you're trying to limit your fat, you know what I mean, reduce your fat and like limit inflammation, all of that stuff. So for some people, high intensity workout is not the way to go. So something like Pilates, you're still going to build strength, you're going to build muscle that way, but it's going to be low intensity enough that you're not raising your cortisol and kind of being stressed out. I think it's also dependent on the person. Like I've tried Pilates, but for some reason, like my brain, like I need to walk out dripping sweat.
Yeah.
I like to have music bumping. Don't get me wrong. Like some days I love yoga and I do like Pilates. I kind of mix it up, but I think it's very dependent on the person. So some people, Pilates might be the best thing for you if you do like a Pilates and like a little hot girl walk. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I do that some days too. And I've gone through phases too, but some days for me, like I need to have like EDM music blaring in my ears and I need to be sprinting. So it just depends on the person. You have to know your body. But something that I think is really awesome, and I don't think we talk about it enough, is when people start to listen to their bodies and start to just experiment with what feels good. So try Pilates, try lifting, try walking, try just jogging, or even doing, more of like a HIIT style class, and see kind of like how your body responds, what feels better, what might be making physical changes and what might not be. Again, it's like you can kind of experiment and figure it out and see what might work for you specifically.
Yeah, I love that. I'll definitely try it out. And like, I like what you said, like kind of have like a variety to kind of like play along with and like see what your body reacts to the best.
Yeah. And honestly, I go through phases a little bit. Like last fall-ish, I was doing solid core, which is a Pilates style class. Probably like 4 times a week, if not more. And I was doing really light runs, really like low impact. Like I was doing a lot of walking and more like jogging, just because that's what my body felt at the time. And then some weeks, honestly, and like we're talking about females, like sometimes you crave different workouts in different phases of your cycle. So there's different phases that could potentially impact what your body craves. Like some weeks I crave really high intensity workouts. And sometimes they say that's like right about when your period's about to come. Sometimes that happens. You're actually really strong when that's about to happen. Other times you're going to feel really low energy and you should commit more to low impact work. And that's just part of being a female. So like there might be some weeks that I'll crave like, I want to sleep in, I won't work out in the morning, or I'll do like a 20-minute YouTube Pilates class that's just on my mat in my living room. And then I'll go for like a 40-minute walk later. It really is just dependent on, what you're going through. And sometimes like, again, like just listening to your body. So, again, also different phases. Like I said, sometimes like I'll go through like 3-month phases of like, I'm all about HIIT, then I'm all about like lifting. And then I'm like, I kind of want to just like chill and do some Pilates. So again, I think it's really just like listening to your body. I know I keep saying it, but it's really important because everybody's so bio individual. Not everybody's going to need the same thing, and you're not always going to need the same thing in every part of your life either.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like I think what you said too, like about the period and stuff, like your body will tell you. And I know also like when you're about to get your period, like you need more calorie, like a higher calorie intake. Um,
Yeah.
and so like that's what I've like always heard. I'm assuming it's true, but
Yeah, no, it is true because your body basically is it's so the reason that your body's going to crave more energy or crave more food is because it wants more energy. So
okay.
that's essentially what's happening there. And that's why you need more calories, because calories are essentially energy. Like food is fuel. So that's why you're going to need that. And there are like certain foods that you should eat when you are craving those things. Like women should really at that point kind of like up their healthy fat intake. So like really get into avocados, even like guac, obviously, the use of like extra virgin olive oil. That's a really good time to kind of up your healthy fat intake because your body's going to burn through it a lot faster. But that actually helps women like regulate their cycle too.
That's awesome. Okay, that's super good to know. Especially I think like we're not taught that along with like
No, we're literally not taught anything about that. And even like I'm actually starting to learn more and more about that, about how like what foods to have in different phases of your cycle, as well as what kind of movements we crave.
yeah.
And it's never we never really learn about that or talk about that at all. I feel like, and I didn't realize it because I always felt like playing sports when I got my period that I was weaker because of it. Like I was like, oh, like I'm not going to play as well today because of my period. But actually, we're stronger during that time. It's really it's
It's crazy.
counterintuitive. Yeah, but I think it's just because like your brain thinks that, and we haven't been taught otherwise. So there's different things that are interesting to learn about and to kind of that like different things that we can then go and put into action based on learning. And I think that kind of needs to be talked about more.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely keep that in mind too next time.
Yeah.